Frodo deciding to keep the One Ring, to Cole Sear admitting his darkest secret. They're the scenes in movies that leave your jaw wide open. The kind of event that makes you turn to the person you're sitting next to and say, "What just happened?" The binger wants to relive all those times films managed to make you jump out of your seat in surprise. From superhero betrayals to the downright absurd. Let's jump into it. Everything the viewer sees hinges on this one moment. Jack Skellington is determined to save Christmas. But there's one problem. Skellington and his band of nightmarish helpers don't fully understand the holiday season. The characters know that Christmas makes people happy, so they try to inspire their own version of holiday cheer. The only problem is, what makes them happy causes stress for everyone else. Take yourself back to the moment at hand. Jack is dressed in his Santa Reds, flying with his bona fide reindeer to give presents to all the boys and girls. The next thing that we see as an audience is toys on the loose. Children running and screaming from terrifying contraptions meant to bring joy. It's like someone gave the job of Santa to Sid from Toy Story and he's making his creations rain down from the sky. It's the worst version of Christmas one can imagine. The odd part is that everyone in Halloween Town looking on is cheering for it. It's that subtle bit of extra context that makes these scenes so messed up. The characters think that this is a good thing. It takes military action to stop Jack's jolly flight. It's only then that he realizes that Christmas is a different kind of joy, and his own comfort and well-being aren't tied to that joy. Ugh, talk about a serious wake-up call that could have happened sooner. The first rule of Spider-Man 3 is you don't talk about the dance scene in Spider-Man 3. And don't worry, we're gonna do our very best to avoid that part of this scene. Believe me, no one, and we mean no one, wants to relive Tobey Maguire's awkward hip gyrations. Ugh. The real shot comes right after that cringy montage though. Peter Parker takes Gwen Stacy out on a date. Yeah, it's innocent enough, until you realize he's brought her to the bar where MJ works as a waitress. Seriously, it's like a -10 on the ex-boyfriend meter. Never do that to someone. Ever. When Gwen realizes the situation, she gets uncomfortable. Spider-Man tries to salvage the situation only to cause more trouble, and, well, you know how it goes from here. Yikes. Not the proudest moment for Sony's version of Spider-Man. No wonder fans weren't comfortable with him headed back to that studio. When Darth Sidious seems taken aback and uncomfy, you know something truly evil just happened. Hence, this entry making its way onto this list. Come on, you had to know the reason for Vader's epic "No" shout was on here. I mean, it certainly wasn't going to make a list about the greatest scenes in cinema, now was it? Poor Anakin just wanted to keep Padme alive. Visions hounded his dreams, making him believe she was destined to leave him. And the young Jedi Knight did what any reasonable person would do in that situation. He turned to the dark side. It's only when Obi-Wan Kenobi gets in the way that things hit rock bottom. The result feels straight out of a college dorm room. Anakin's the dude waking up from a hard night out with no knowledge of the night before. Then there's Darth Sidious, who's the new roommate who has to break the bad news to him that he totally wrecked his car trying to park the other night. Okay, granted, maybe it's not the grandest metaphor, but you get what we're going for here. It's just super messed up that Sidious tells Darth Vader that he eliminated his own wife, and his whole reason for turning evil was in vain. There are 2 lessons to be learned from the movie Ex Machina. Number 1, your browser history at work is never private and will be used against you. Well, it'll be used against you if you're working for a super egotistical mad scientist. The second lesson is never, ever, in your lifetime, trust a robot. Not even if the robot looks like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Really, there are a ton of jaw-opening moments in this film. It's just a series of moments that make you wonder why you didn't pick Ralph Breaks the Internet to watch on Netflix instead. Still, the movie works on multiple levels and one brilliant moment stands out above the rest. The majority of the movie centers on Ava and Caleb's relationship. Caleb is trying to see if she passes the Turing test. He knows Ava is a robot, but that doesn't stop the experiment from starting. Turns out Nathan, Ava's creator, is testing something else. Ava is using her knowledge of humans to convince Caleb to free her. It works. Caleb accidentally lets out a robot with a lot of rage built up. The worst part is, she thanks him by leaving him trapped in the house. Seriously, people, never trust a robot. So much is said in such a brief moment. And of course, the use of Simon and Garfunkel's gentle melodies helps a lot, but this is seriously one of the saddest moments in film's history. It's the kind of scene that really makes the audience question the protagonist's decisions. For those unaware, the premise of the movie is also a little messed up. Benjamin just graduated college and doesn't know what he wants to do with his life. He ends up getting caught up in some explicit activities with his neighbor, Miss Robinson. Oh yeah, just like the song. However, Benjamin then decides he actually loves Elaine, Miss Robinson's daughter, and he goes for her instead. By this point, your head is probably in a pretzel knot. We get it. The whole concept feels a bit icky. It's the final moment that feels the most shocking though, and for good reason. Benjamin crashes Elaine's wedding and steals her away from the groom. The two run off together and board a bus. No words are spoken. The only thing we see is the look of regret and fear begin to show on their faces. Talk about something being messed up in a really real way. So, many of you watching probably saw Indiana Jones when you were just a kid, and that's okay. I mean, the movie's supposed to be fun for the whole family. Here's the kicker though. Even 5-year-old you knew that opening the Ark of the Covenant was a bad idea. To be fair, the movie does keep foreshadowing the danger of opening this antique. The story wants us to know it's a bad idea so that it builds tension when it finally starts to happen. The action of opening the Ark is messed up, but the fallout is even more shocking. Steven Spielberg went all out with that ending. He wanted a huge payoff, but honestly, that was a bit much. Watching men lose their faces in hideous ways and a bunch of soldiers taking orders just vanish was a big holy cow moment. The craziest part is, no one saw that Indiana Jones closes his eyes and thought to do the same thing. Amateurs. Dramas based on real-life people hit a little differently, especially when the person was as famous as Johnny Cash. And if you've seen Walk the Line, you know the scene that we're about to bring up. It really sticks out in the film, tonally. Midway through the second act, we begin to see Cash's first marriage crumble. The two don't trust each other, and the time on the road is building a rift that no amount of communication can fix. The conflict boils over in a huge altercation that leaves Johnny Cash in a poor position. There's no other way to put it. Cash looks like a horrible person in this scene, and audiences are forced to reckon with his flaws in this moment. The kicker that puts this scene on our radar is the big reveal. As the fight is happening, the camera is isolated on Cash and on his wife, Vivian Liberto. It isn't until the scene reaches the climax that the viewer is shown his kids watching the whole thing unfold. Talk about a real gut punch. Home Alone is a Christmas movie. Isn't that weird? Think about it. We spend the holidays watching a little kid get left at home to defend himself against burglars. We then watch the same kid basically torture those two would-be burglars for about a half an hour. It's kind of repulsive when you put it that way. For our money, the most ghastly part of this movie is the way the family leaves Kevin behind. A lot of things need to go right for them to forget him, like the ticket accidentally getting tossed in the trash and the power going out. But it's still so disturbing. His sister is so lazy that she counts the neighbor kid as Kevin. She barely bothers to look at him. Then no one in the car even decides to talk to Kevin apparently. After that, the entire run to the gate and the subsequent boarding goes on without another count. There were multiple chances for them to spot the missing member. It's a shame Kevin's family just clearly doesn't care about him enough. God, no scene in the history of the MCU makes you want to palm your head like this one. Everything is going okay up until this moment. The bad guys don't know where the good guys are. The Infinity Stone is about to stay protected under the watch of the Collector. Yet Drax goes and ruins everything. Now, it is said that the Guardians of the Galaxy are inspired by the modern Dungeons & Dragons base group. It makes sense, and honestly explains Drax's decision-making there. For starters, he's been drinking the entire time, and that problem helps remind him of his character's entire motivation: destroy Ronan the Accuser. The whole calling him and asking him for a fight is totally a it's what my character would do moment. All those D&D fans out there know exactly what we're talking about, right? It's the only way that we can explain such a stupid decision. Otherwise, it's just a seriously messed up thing to do that makes you despise Drax in the moment. Never forget, the world's greatest detective couldn't figure out that the big villain was literally right under his nose. Talk about a character failing their duties. That being said, it does lead to a great messed up moment at the end. We would happily watch Batman get tricked 100 times over if it means watching Christian Bale do his shocked face. I mean, look at that thing. How is that not a meme already? It's one of the most over-the-top shocked faces of all time. Sure, some people were unimpressed by the twist at the end, but it is messed up. Bruce Wayne is trying to make Gotham a better place through charity and not through Batman. He finds a woman that shares his vision, Miranda Tate, and the two fall in love. To Bruce, Miranda is a trusted advisor who will make the world better. Turns out, he's totally wrong and she's actually Talia al Ghul. It's one of those jaw-dropping moments that made some people wish they could watch the whole movie over again knowing that. It certainly makes for a better watch. Trust us. Hopefully this list inspired you to go back and watch some of those scenes. Rewatching Jack Skellington's character growth moment, or the exact spot in the movie where the McAllisters realize that they left Kevin, is a great way to end the day. Did we miss one of your favorite shock moments? Let us know in the comments section down below. The Binger is always creating new content, so keep up to date by liking this video and subscribing for more videos. There's always more to look forward to here. Bye-bye.